Just Steve. Steve does fine,
Steve
thank you.
Baker.
Steve does fine.
This is Steve Baker. Right, we're going to do this police car, aren't we? While I ask you questions.
Oh, I've got a multitask.
Yeah. Can you do that? Can you manage?
Oh man, what do you expect? Of course I can.
So funny.
Is that my
This
part?
is the little man, and then this is
How
the
come it's all
car.
wrapped up? Oh, it's not.
It's not. It's open. Okay. Do you want to start off telling people like your job title and your role? And
Am I talking to the camera or am I talking to you? What would you
either,
rather?
both.
What would you
each of
prefer?
Everything.
Both, okay. So my name's Steve Baker and I'm the mental health lead for Northumbria Police.
And what are your responsibilities?
My
What kind of things do
responsibility,
you do?
what sort of things do I do? Well, I'm aiming, I talk about my revolution, that I want to raise a lot of awareness about mental health.
Yeah.
I want to get officers making sure we're giving the best quality of care for those in crisis. I manage our street triage team,
Yeah.
which obviously has received national recognition for
Let's
the hard
talk
work.
about that.
For the hard work about street triage,
Yeah.
yeah, well.
One of my friends actually experienced it the other day, someone that I knew through services,
And
she gave some good feedback. She
Yeah.
said it like literally saved her life because
Well,
she was on the edge.
the great thing is that you've got a police officer and a nurse working together,
Yeah.
and by bringing those two key organisations, you can make sure the person isn't detained unnecessarily,
Yeah.
but is given the right signposting and looked after. And if we need to get them some help, we can go down that avenue. If it's better to take the person home and get the follow-up help, it gets done. And
We got some good statistics, didn't we, from that?
we did. So before we started street triage back in 2013,
Yeah.
we used to average across the force area in 2013 71 136 attentions a month, which is when we obviously have a power to take someone
Yeah.
if we feel they need a mental
Yeah.
health assessment. And there's criteria to fit that. It now averages 13. So it's all about it's all about making sure we're giving the right care and not detaining people unnecessarily. But in fairness, you know, a lot of police officers used to do that because they didn't know what else to do.
No,
They were trying to protect a vulnerable
Exactly,
person, and they thought they were doing the right thing. Whereas now we get a nurse who can say categorically, this is the right thing to do or not. You know.
But it's hard because as well, like I didn't understand that when it was happening to me. Like that's the best, that's what they can do, and sometimes they don't have a choice because it's duty of care and stuff. But I think that it's good because the police would get like so frustrated when they would 136 me, take me to the 136 suite. We'd be sat there for hours waiting to be like seen by the psychiatrist and stuff, and then this psych team would just like send me on my way and send me home. And the police are like, not only have they just sat there with, you know, when they could have been catching crime
Doing
and
other
stuff.
things. No, I think
Yeah,
well, the thing is, there's a knock-on effect about making the best use of
Yeah.
police officer time. But what's more important than that for me is about the individual in crisis.
Yeah.
Is it the best quality of care for them? And for them to sit there and go through that experience when we can avoid it, for
Yeah,
everyone's
exactly,
benefit,
yeah.
we can avoid it. And that's
Exactly.
one of the real beauties of street triage. So we're really proud of what they do, and it's nice to hear some good stories. And I know the police officers find it valuable having that expertise, and the people I've heard of who have used the service have found it beneficial, you know.
What do you think would happen if I ever got like poorly and needed to use services again? What, like, do you think that would get awkward in me doing my role
Because
still
people
with
know
you
you.
guys?
No, I
No.
think because people would be wanting to help you.
Yeah.
And I think people would be able to see, look, Amy's not doing so well at the moment, so she needs some help. So what can we do to help her
Yeah.
get better? And that's the whole part of it,
That's
you know. So I don't think it'd be any different. And I'll do my thing. Is I know people who have access street triage services who have been known, and they
Yeah.
get treated exactly the same way because they're trying to help that individual. So
No, I
yeah.
can't imagine like that I'd be treated any differently, but I don't know. I think just sometimes when I do have dark moments,
Yep.
and I think like, would I be ashamed to like ask for help because I'm meant to be like this
Hope not.
like big role model person, and kind of.
I know, but
I feel like confident
Yeah.
that it would benefit me though if I did need to ask for help. Like
you
that it
more
would
than
be
anyone
helpful.
else knows that the confidence is coming forward, or the ability to have that confidence
Yeah.
to say, can you help me? There was someone who works in street triage who unfortunately not been so well and is no longer with us because he had the confidence to come forward. It's really sad, and I want to use the opportunity to tell people, it's a bit like yesterday, you know, the time to talk today.
Yeah.
It's all about giving people the confidence to say, these are my issues. And unfortunately, we have this big stigma around, I can't talk about mental health. I can tell you about my poorly tummy,
Yeah.
and I can tell you how my leg hurts me every
Yes.
time I run, but people won't talk about how I'm feeling a bit anxious, or I'm feeling a bit depressed actually, I'm really worried about something. And it's about giving people the confidence to come forward and say, it's not just all right to say that, it's good to say that.
Yeah.
And just by coming up a little bit, that can be a real benefit to some people, you know.
Done it wrong.
So yeah, so yesterday on Type to Talk Day, it was really good. There were a lot of efforts for that through the police.
There was a few coffee mornings and stuff.
There was
wasn't
coffee mornings. There was we had key people to come along who help in well-being and Pilates and exercise, and they all came to give people some ideas of stuff you can do.
Yeah.
And I know there were 2 people I spoke to yesterday, having done a bit of a presentation, and they both said, I've never told anyone, but actually I'm not doing very well. I need some help.
Okay.
Which is fantastic, because then I'm not a clinician, I'm a police officer, but I know who they can speak to, and I can help them find the right path to get the help that they require and start talking about these things. And you can see a big smile on her face when she was able to talk. That's fantastic. That really is fantastic if we can do that. Because like everywhere else, there are people who are not so well, but they don't either know what to say, who to say it to, or where to go for the help. And that's what we need to sort of change. That's what we need to change.
Big thing, like with the police, is, you know, when you're in a crisis, and I don't know why, but it just seems natural that you'd ring the police for help.
Well, and that's a really good question.
No.
That's a really good question, because I think a lot of people think that because they don't know who else to ring.
Yeah.
But what I would say is that the police's role. Now, the police are there to help you, absolutely, but the police aren't necessarily the best person to help get you that medical care.
Yeah.
And that's something it's a really good question.
What would you advise them, do you think? Like,
Well, I think, you know, as I say, if say again?
Crisis team?
Well, yeah, you know, that's definitely an option. We have 24-hour access to crisis in this area. We're really, really lucky with that. Even going to your GP sometimes can be the right thing, depending on how you're feeling and what your signs you're showing.
It's hard with like out of hours stuff.
It is. But Amy, if I'm honest with you, there's no right and wrong answer.
No.
Because if you're really, really in a bad way and need some help, and it's relevant for us, it might be a police job. And you can't say categorically this time yes, this time no. But what I'm saying to you is there are times when actually the best and most appropriate service is not the police, but it is going to mental health professionals, because they're the ones who can make sure you get the right care.
I feel like at the minute, I feel like the police have accepted that they're going to end up having this little role in mental health, and that it's important that it's been accepted now, because then we can be improving stuff.
I think I mean there are some arguments around the country that the police shouldn't be involved in mental health at all.
No, definitely.
You know? But I think if there are incidents where people are coming to the notice of police and they're in crisis, then that's where the role of street triage can intervene and make sure that we're going along the right pathway of not detaining officers unnecessarily and giving people the right quality of care.
Yeah, exactly. Do you want to talk a little bit about the Respond?
So Respond, yeah. So one of the big issues for us is, how do professionals understand their respective roles in helping someone in the crisis pathway? And the police potentially have a key role to play, but so do paramedics, so do crisis nurses, so do psychiatrists. So we developed a training package called Respond, and Respond was put together with the help of the Mental Health Trust, the police, the ambulance service, Newcastle Local Authority, and Fulfilling Lives, who represent experts by experience.
Okay, I didn't know that bit.
Yeah, we designed a training programme whereby we'll get a group of people around the table, and none of them know what each other does. So it's all in secret from that point of view.
Okay,
And you'll have around the table a police officer, a paramedic, an AMP, a psychiatrist, and an expert.
Yeah.
And you will be given a scenario. And in the first scenario, which is crisis in a public place.
Do you want to take over?
I'm not very good at this. So in the first scenario, everyone has to become a police officer.
Yeah.
You have to think like a police officer, you have to make decisions like a police officer. And everyone becomes a crisis nurse, and everyone becomes a psychiatrist, and everyone becomes the person in crisis, so that you understand what it's like to go through, and the shared learning we've had has been massive. We now have 3 scenarios, so crisis in a public place, crisis in a private place, and crisis on a mental health ward.
Okay, is that like what we do in the training with the new recruits? We do them little scenarios.
We do a scenario around that. It's a bit more complex than that, because it tests a lot of understanding of what the roles and responsibilities are, but it is similar to that. So it's just really good from that shared learning, and people come out of that understanding what each other's roles are, therefore able to offer a better quality of care.
Yeah.
I presented that at the National Police Conference in September last year, where...
Is that when you met, what's his face?
What's his face? Prince William.
His face?
Yeah. So I met Prince William, who was really enthusiastic about the project, had read up about it, and is just the nicest guy, and very pro trying to push the whole mental health agenda, raising the awareness, and yeah, it's going from strength to strength. We've now got other parts of the country really, really keen on taking it on, and we're going to train them up hopefully, and
we worked a lot with
share that.
Devon and Cornwall, have we?
Yeah, and we've also got West Midlands and Cumbria. They're all showing a real interest in doing it, so it's really good. But you know what you're saying before, when you've come and helped us with the new police officers training, I say it's so impactful for them to hear a personal story, and to hear how someone, you know, maybe didn't get, hear how it's jumping, June. Hear how someone maybe in the past wasn't treated so well by the police, but how what we're trying to do with this training is to give people a better understanding, so we can help people better. And I think you know, you being able to come and tell your story is just testament to how we've moved things on, how we're trying to train officers up in understanding mental health, so they can give that respect and care to people when they need it.
I think it's fantastic.
We're doing rather well with this, aren't we?
Oh yeah, you've done loads.
I know that. Well, I've done the most, and I've done the little man here.
I think I've done it, you know. We just need. Do you want to do the finishing?
No, I think you should. You've done all the hard work. I'll take the glory.
The only thing is, right, and this happened the other day, was there's 3 bits here, and there's meant to be 2, but I can't change anything about it. It's all right. It's
just bigger. Just there's an extra seat in there. I wouldn't worry as long as the wheels go on. And yeah, so I'm really proud of what we've achieved, but there's still lots and lots to do. You know, when you look at issues such as suicide rates, and you know, suicide being the biggest killer of men under 45 in this country, there's still lots we need to do to make sure people know where to access that help and how we go, working with colleagues in mental health. But we've started on a good path, and long may it continue.
I think so. What got you involved in like thinking of the mental health aspect?
Well, I was where I was working. I was looking after Morpeth, and obviously there's some mental health hospitals in Morpeth, so that's how I originally got involved. But then about 18 months ago, my son, who was 17 at the time, he took poorly, and so as a family member, I've lived through that, and you know, we've had worry, we've had tears, but we've seen the other side. So whilst my mental health is good, I've shared as a family member what it's like to go through, and I suppose my motivation is to be able to help others and stop people going down that track. And you know, working with you and people like you and hearing your stories, that gives me motivation as to what can we do to make things better for people, so they don't go into crisis, and if they do, we're giving them the right quality of care.
It's very admirable.
We try.
I have a lot of respect for you. I know sometimes it doesn't look like it, and I make some jokes and I'm a bit sarcastic, but I do.
Well, I think we need people to drive forward this agenda, and there's lots of different areas of the police which are important, but I think mental health now it's great. There's a lot of celebrities talking about it. Prince William, Prince Harry, they're talking about it, and that gives people the confidence to then come out and have conversations. And I say all we're asking people to do is talk. Let's talk about mental health, and if that helps that conversation progress, then that's fantastic. You're just now ruining it. We've had it, did we not?
I know, but we had it, definitely. You won't like.
Why do you make them stand up though? We won't say it's illegal to stand up in a car. No, but on this occasion we'll allow it. This occasion we'll allow it. I'll make it. There you go. You see, he's on lookout.
All done.
There we go.
Last question.
Yes.
Can you think of one reason why people should read I'm Not Disordered?
Why they should read? Because I think hearing someone's personal story can be far more impactful than listening to someone like me and hearing your journey and what you have to offer and the experiences you have. I was telling you about that programme I watched, Stranger on a Bridge, and how one individual made such an impact on someone's life, or both their lives, but the knock-on effect is that man has then gone on to influence and help others, and I think that's what you're doing through I'm Not Disordered, is that by raising the awareness of people are listening, hopefully, to people like me to say, well actually, the police are trying to help, I will speak, or I will do this, and I think with someone's passion and enthusiasm to sort of do your blogs and your vlogs and speak to people like me, we are together raising it, but you need to be the catalyst of driving it forward, because people want to hear your story, and I think people do admire you how, you know, yeah, you've not been so well, but now you're in a good place.
Yeah.
And what can we do to learn from that process?